I never thought my family would fall apart over a pot roast dinner. But that's exactly what happened on a Tuesday evening in October, when my mother decided to detonate our lives with what she called her exciting news. My name is Harper, and up until that night, I'd managed to keep our family's chaos somewhat contained. Being 17 meant I was old enough to see the cracks forming, but young enough that everyone still thought I needed protecting. They had it backwards. I was the protector, especially when it came to my 14-year-old brother Finn. "I've been doing some thinking," Mom announced, setting down her fork with the kind of deliberate care that made my stomach clench. "I'm quitting my job at the bank." Dad's fork clattered against his plate. "You're what?" "I found an amazing investment opportunity," she continued, her eyes bright with that familiar gleam that always meant trouble. "My friend Sarah introduced me to this group that's developing luxury tiny homes in Costa Rica. The returns are incredible. We could triple our money in 6 months." I watched Dad's face transform from confusion to disbelief to something darker. "Marlene, tell me you haven't already done something stupid." "Grant, please," Mom said, waving her hand dismissively. "I know what I'm doing. I've done all the research." Finn shifted uncomfortably beside me, pushing his carrots around his plate. I reached under the table and squeezed his knee, our silent signal that everything would be okay, even though my own heart was racing. "Research?" Dad's voice had that dangerous quiet I'd learned to dread. "Like the research you did on that alpaca farm scheme last year? Or the mobile meditation bus the year before that?" "Those were different," Mom insisted. "This is legitimate. They have a website and everything." "A website?" Dad pushed his chair back from the table. "Jesus Christ, Marlene. How much?" The silence that followed was deafening. Mom's fingers twisted her napkin into a tight spiral. "I haven't invested anything yet, but..." "But what?" "I took out a loan against my 401k. The pot roast turned to ash in my mouth. Dad's face went from red to white so fast I thought he might pass out. "You did what?" "It's only 30,000, Mom said quickly. "And once the returns start coming in..." "Returns?" Dad's laugh was hollow. "The only return you're going to get is another bankruptcy filing. Or did you forget about 2019? I hadn't forgotten. How could I? I'd spent that entire summer working double shifts at the ice cream shop to help pay for Finn's school supplies. Mom had the grace to look ashamed, but only for a moment. "This time is different," she insisted. "I can feel it. We could finally have the life we deserve, Grant. No more living paycheck to paycheck. We could travel, get a bigger house." "The life we deserve?" Dad stood up so suddenly his chair toppled backward. "We have a good life, Marlene. A stable life. Or we did, until you decided to gamble away our retirement fund on another get-rich-quick scheme." "It's not gambling." Mom's voice rose. "Why do you always have to be so negative? Why can't you just support me for once?" I caught movement from the corner of my eye. Finn was crying silently, tears dropping onto his half-eaten dinner. Something inside me snapped. "Stop it." I slammed my hands on the table, making everyone jump. "Just stop. Look what you're doing to him." Both my parents fell silent, looking at Finn as if they'd forgotten he was there. Mom reached for him, but he flinched away, pushing back from the table and running upstairs. The sound of his door slamming echoed through the house. "I hope you're both proud of yourselves," I said, standing up. "I'm going to check on him." As I headed upstairs, I heard Dad say quietly, "If you go through with this, Marlene, we're done. I mean it this time." Mom's response was lost as I reached Finn's room, but I knew in my gut that this wasn't just another family argument. This was the beginning of the end, and somehow, I was going to have to figure out how to keep us all from drowning in the wreckage. The next morning, I woke to the sound of hushed arguing downstairs. 3 weeks had passed since Mom's announcement, and the tension in our house had become a living, breathing thing. I lay in bed, listening to their voices rise and fall like waves against rocks, until I heard the front door slam. I found Dad in the kitchen, gripping the counter so hard his knuckles were white. "Where's Mom?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Meeting with her investment group," he said, spitting out the words like they were poison. "Says she needs to wire them the first installment today." My stomach dropped. "But I thought you told her." "What I think doesn't matter anymore." He grabbed his car keys. "I'm heading to the shop early. Make sure Finn eats something before school. I watched him leave, then started making Finn's favorite breakfast, chocolate chip pancakes. As I mixed the batter, I noticed Mom's purse on the counter. She must have forgotten it in her rush to leave. A piece of paper was sticking out, and something about the official-looking letterhead caught my eye. I shouldn't have looked, but after everything that had happened, I couldn't help myself. The letter was from Riverside Bank, dated 5 years ago. As I read, my hands started shaking. Regret to inform you that due to the unauthorized transactions and misappropriation of client funds, your employment with Riverside Bank is hereby terminated, effective immediately. The pancake batter forgotten, I read the letter 3 times. Mom had told us she'd quit her job at Riverside to take a better position at her current bank. Another lie. Is that Mom's stuff? I jumped, shoving the letter back into the purse. Finn stood in the doorway, already dressed for school but looking like he hadn't slept. Just making sure she didn't forget her phone, I lied, hating how easily it came. Want some pancakes? Later that day, I couldn't focus in class. The letter kept playing in my mind, along with all the other opportunities Mom had pursued over the years. The alpaca farm, the meditation bus. Each time, she'd convinced herself and tried to convince us that this was the one that would change everything. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Check the mail when you get home. Looking for an important letter from the bank. When I got home, I found Mom sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by papers. She looked up with that manic excitement I'd grown to dread. Harper, perfect timing. Come look at these projections. The development team just sent over the latest numbers, and they're even better than we thought. I stood in the doorway, the mail clutched in my hands. Among the envelopes was a bank statement addressed to Dad. The seal was already broken. Did you open Dad's mail? Mom's smile faltered for just a second. I needed to check something. Besides, we're family. There shouldn't be secrets between us. Like how you were fired from Riverside Bank. The words left my mouth before I could stop them. Mom's face went completely still, then twisted into something I'd never seen before. You went through my purse? Her voice was deadly quiet. You went through Dad's mail, I shot back. Why did you lie about Riverside? That was different. I was protecting this family. She stood up, gathering her papers. You wouldn't understand. You're just like your father, so afraid of taking risks, of reaching for something better. Better than what? I demanded. We were fine before you started chasing these crazy schemes. Fine. She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Is that what you want for your life, Harper? To be just fine? To live paycheck to paycheck like your father, never dreaming of anything more. Before I could respond, we heard the front door open. Dad called out, Harper? Did you check the mail? Mom and I stared at each other. In that moment, I saw something in her eyes that scared me, not anger or defiance, but a kind of desperate determination. She held out her hand for the mail. I took a step back, clutching the envelopes to my chest. No more lies, I whispered. Dad appeared in the doorway, taking in the scene before him. The scattered papers. Mom's outstretched hand. The look on my face. What's going on? He asked quietly. And just like that, another crack appeared in our family's foundation, and I knew we were one step closer to everything falling apart. I never expected to find out about my college fund while doing laundry, but there it was, buried in a pile of Mom's discarded jeans, a crumpled letter from my university's financial aid office, dated 3 days ago, stating my tuition payment had bounced. My hands trembled as I read the words again. The college fund Dad and I had carefully built over the years, the one Mom had promised she wouldn't touch, was gone. I stormed upstairs to find Mom hunched over her laptop, frantically typing. What did you do? She barely glanced up. Not now, Harper. I'm in the middle of something important. More important than my future? I slammed the letter down on her keyboard. The money's gone, isn't it? Mom's fingers stopped moving. For a moment, she looked almost guilty. Then her face hardened. It's not gone, it's invested. The returns will be more than enough to cover your tuition and then some. You mean like the returns from your luxury tiny homes? How's that working out? There have been some delays, she admitted. But Sarah says. Sarah, I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. The same Sarah who convinced you to invest in that pyramid scheme last year? This is different. Mom stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. I'm trying to give us a better life. Why can't anyone in this family understand that? Because your better life keeps making our actual life worse. I was shouting now, not caring if the neighbors heard. Did you even think about asking me before stealing my college fund? I didn't steal anything, she hissed. I'm your mother. Everything I do is for this family. The front door opened downstairs. Dad's heavy footsteps echoed through the house. Perfect timing, I said, grabbing the letter. Let's see what Dad thinks about your latest investment strategy. Mom's face went pale. Harper, wait. But I was already halfway down the stairs. Dad stood in the entryway, still in his work clothes, grease stains on his hands. One look at my face and he knew something was wrong. What happened? I handed him the letter. Watched as he read it once, twice, his expression darkening with each line. Mom appeared at the top of the stairs, wringing her hands. Grant, I can explain. Explain what? His voice was deadly quiet. How you stole our daughter's future. Or how you lied to my face when I asked if you'd touched any other accounts. I didn't lie. Mom's voice cracked. The opportunity was too good to pass up. Once the returns come in, there are no returns. Dad roared, making us both jump. There never were. It's all been a scam, Marlene. I called the bank today. They've never heard of this development company. The website's fake. Everything's fake. Mom swayed slightly, grabbing the banister for support. No, that's not. Sarah wouldn't. Sarah's gone, Dad said flatly. Packed up and left town last week. Along with everyone else involved in this scheme. The silence that followed was deafening. I watched Mom's face crumple as reality finally hit her. But instead of remorse, I saw something else take over. Desperation. We can fix this, she said quickly. I still have access to our emergency fund. What emergency fund? Dad's laugh was hollow. The one you emptied last month? I felt the floor drop out from under me. What? Dad turned to me, his eyes full of pain. I'm sorry, Harper. I tried to protect you from this, but... He pulled out his phone, showing me their empty bank statement. Your mother's been lying to all of us for a long time. Grant, please. Mom started down the stairs. We can work this out. No, Dad said quietly. We can't. Not anymore. He turned to me. Pack a bag for you and Finn. You're both coming to stay with me at the motel. You can't take my children. Mom's voice rose hysterically. Watch me, Dad said. Harper, go get your brother. Now. As I ran upstairs, I heard Mom crying, begging Dad to reconsider. But something had broken, finally, irreparably, and we all knew it. Our family wasn't just cracking anymore. It was shattering into pieces too small to ever put back together. The motel lasted exactly 2 weeks before Dad announced he'd found an apartment across town. I watched him pack his few belongings, knowing what was coming next. Harper, about the living arrangements. He couldn't meet my eyes. The apartment's small, 1 bedroom, and with my work schedule. I forced a smile. We'll be fine here with Mom. Right, Finn? Finn, curled up in the motel's threadbare armchair, just nodded. We both knew it wasn't true. But what choice did we have? That was 3 months ago. Now I stood behind the counter at Joe's Coffee, trying to calculate if my tips would cover both the electric bill and Finn's art supplies. Mom hadn't been home in 2 days. Something about a promising lead on a new investment opportunity. Order up for table 6. Miguel, our cook, called out. I grabbed the plates, nearly dropping them when I saw Mom sitting at the table, talking animatedly to a man in an expensive suit. Just need a small loan to get started, I heard her say as I approached. The returns would be astronomical. The plates clattered against the table harder than necessary. Mom jumped, finally noticing me. Harper, I didn't know you were working today. Her smile was too bright, too desperate. This is Mr. Chen. He's interested in a fantastic business opportunity I found. I looked at the man, saw the predatory gleam in his eyes. Mom, can I talk to you? Now. In the break room, I rounded on her. Are you serious? Another scheme. It's not a scheme. She pulled out a glossy brochure. It's a revolutionary cryptocurrency platform. Stop. My voice shook. Just stop. We don't have anything left for you to invest. Actually, She wouldn't meet my eyes. I was hoping to borrow your savings. Just temporarily. The returns would more than make up for my savings. I stepped back. The money I've been earning to keep our lights on and food in the fridge? While you're out chasing get-rich-quick dreams. Don't talk to me like that. I'm still your mother. Are you? The words escaped before I could stop them. Because mothers don't steal their children's college funds. They don't disappear for days without explanation. They don't. The slap caught me off guard. Mom looked as shocked as I felt, her hand still raised. Harper, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean. I touched my stinging cheek. I have to get back to work. That night, I found my savings box empty. The money I'd hidden under my mattress gone. Even the jar of tips I'd kept in the kitchen was cleaned out. I found Mom in her room, frantically shoving clothes into a suitcase. Where is it? Mr. Chen's waiting, she said, not looking at me. Once this deal goes through, I'll pay you back double. Triple. Mom, please. My voice cracked. That money was for Finn's medication. 4 groceries. 4. I'm doing this for us. She whirled around, eyes wild. Why can't you understand? This is our chance to fix everything. There's nothing left to fix. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling Dad. She moved faster than I expected, snatching the phone and throwing it against the wall. You ungrateful little, she caught herself, breathing hard. I'm leaving. When I come back, you'll see. You'll all see. I watched her drag her suitcase down the stairs, listened to the front door slam. Through the window, I saw her get into a black car with Mr. Chen. My phone lay shattered on the floor, but Finn's old Polaroid camera caught my eye. I'd been playing with it lately, finding unexpected peace and capturing moments of beauty in our chaos. Now I picked it up, hands steady despite everything. I took one photo of the empty savings box, another of Mom's ransacked room, a third of the broken phone. Evidence, I told myself, though I wasn't sure for what. Finn appeared in the doorway, eyes wide with understanding. She's gone, isn't she? I nodded, unable to speak. What are we going to do? I looked at the photos spreading across the bed, proof of our mother's final betrayal. Something shifted inside me, a determination hardening into resolve. We're going to survive, I said, reaching for my backup phone, the one Mom didn't know about. But first, I need to make a call. It was time to stop protecting Mom from the consequences of her actions. Time to protect ourselves instead. We lasted 3 days in the house after Mom left. On the 4th morning, I woke to find an eviction notice taped to our front door. Turns out Mom hadn't paid the rent in months. Pack what you can carry, I told Finn, trying to keep my voice steady. Just the essentials. He nodded, clutching his sketchbook to his chest. What about Mom's stuff? I looked at the mess she'd left behind, scattered investment brochures, empty wine bottles, a trail of broken promises. Leave it. The train station was quiet this early. I counted our remaining money, barely enough for 2 tickets to Dad's city. As we waited on the platform, I scrolled through Mom's recent texts. Sorry about everything. This deal is different though. Just need 2 weeks. Harper, please answer. I can explain. You're just like your father. No vision, no faith. The last message came an hour ago. I know you took pictures. Delete them or I'll make things very difficult for you both. I switched off the phone, my hands shaking. Finn leaned against me, half asleep, while I watched the sun rise over the tracks. That's when I noticed the leather-bound journal wedged between the bench slats. I recognized it immediately, Mom's private diary. She must have dropped it during one of her late-night escapes. I shouldn't have opened it, but after everything she'd done, I felt entitled to some answers. The early entries were normal enough. Daily frustrations, dreams of a better life. Then I found the entry from 5 years ago. They don't understand. The money was just sitting there in those accounts, doing nothing. I could have tripled it, made everything better for us. But Grant only sees risk, never opportunity. And now he's poisoning Harper against me too. Sometimes I think they're all conspiring to keep me small, to keep me trapped in this mediocre life. The train arrived with a screech of brakes. As we found our seats, I kept reading, each page revealing more of Mom's descent into delusion. The latest entry was dated just last week. Harper thinks she's so clever with her photographs, gathering evidence like her father would. She doesn't realize I'm protecting her from her own limited thinking. When this cryptocurrency deal pays off, she'll thank me. They'll all thank me. Is that Mom's? Finn asked, startling me. I closed the journal. Yeah. Does it explain why she left? No, I lied, tucking the journal into my bag. Some things don't have explanations, Finn. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. I answered without thinking. Harper. Mom's voice was frantic. Where are you? The house is empty. We got evicted, I said flatly. Remember rent? That thing you were supposed to pay. Listen to me, she hissed. Mr. Chen's associates are very unhappy. They're asking questions about those photos you took. If you've shown them to anyone. Goodbye, Mom. Wait. I need you to wire me some money. Just a few thousand to smooth things over. I hung up, feeling sick. The train rocked gently as we passed through familiar neighborhoods, each mile taking us further from the wreckage of our old life. Harper. Finn's voice was small. What if she comes looking for us? I pulled out the Polaroid camera, the one thing I couldn't leave behind. Through its lens, I'd captured more than just evidence of Mom's betrayals. I'd documented our survival. Let her look, I said, snapping a picture of the sunrise through the train window. We're done hiding. My phone buzzed again, Dad this time. Almost there, his text read. Elise is making up the spare room. We'll figure this out together. I showed Finn the message, watched hope flicker across his face. Then I took out Mom's journal one last time, tore out the pages we might need as evidence, and dropped the rest in the garbage bin at the end of our car. The train curved north, carrying us towards something that felt like safety. In my bag, the Polaroids told our story, not just of betrayal and loss, but of two kids who refused to drown in their mother's chaos. Let her come looking. We had our own evidence now, our own truth. And this time we weren't backing down. Living with Dad and Elise should have felt like a victory. Instead, 6 months in, I found myself jumping at every phone call, every unexpected knock at the door. Mom's threats had followed us, evolving from desperate pleas for money to something darker. I was sorting through my latest batch of photos in the community college darkroom when my phone lit up with an unknown number. Your mother's in trouble, a man's voice said. Not Mr. Chen, but someone else. She owes people money. Dangerous people. But we're willing to be reasonable if. I hung up, hands shaking so badly I dropped the print I was developing. The image blurred, a shot of Finn at his new school's art show, actually smiling for the first time in months. Outside the darkroom, my photography professor caught my arm. Harper, about your portfolio submission for the scholarship. I'll have it ready next week, I promised, already heading for the exit. These photos were my only shot at affording next semester's tuition. Dad was trying, but supporting 2 extra people on a mechanic's salary wasn't easy. I found Elise waiting in her car outside, her usual warm smile replaced with something grimmer. We need to talk. At home, Dad and Finn sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by scattered papers. My stomach dropped when I recognized Mom's handwriting. These came today, Dad said quietly, sliding an envelope toward me. Inside were copies of credit card statements. New accounts opened in my name, maxed out with cash advances. She stole my identity? The words felt hollow in my mouth. There's more, Elise said. The police called. They're investigating a fraud scheme involving cryptocurrency investments. Your mother's name came up. They want to talk to you about those photos you took. I sank into a chair, the room spinning slightly. If I testify, she could go to jail, Dad finished. Finn's pencil snapped in his hand. He'd been drawing obsessively lately, dark, twisted landscapes that his art teacher found concerning. My phone buzzed again, another unknown number. This time a text. Your mother's safety depends on your cooperation. Bring $50,000 to the address below. Come alone. I can't do this anymore, I whispered, showing them the message. Dad started to respond, but was interrupted by a crash from outside. We rushed to the window just in time to see someone running from Elise's car, all 4 tires slashed, windows smashed. On the hood, someone had spray painted, "Pay up or worse." That's it, Dad said, already dialing the police. We're getting a restraining order. It won't help, I said, remembering the threats, the mysterious calls, the escalating demands. As long as we have those photos, as long as I could testify. Then we fight back, Elise said firmly. I know people at the DA's office. We can. No. I pulled out my camera, the one constant through all this chaos. Through its lens, I documented our family's collapse, thinking somehow the truth would protect us. Instead, it had put everyone I loved in danger. I need to end this. I started deleting photos, the empty savings box, Mom's ransacked room, the eviction notice, evidence disappearing with each click. Harper, stop. Dad reached for the camera. Those are your proof, your protection. They're a target, I corrected, pulling away. On all of us. Mom's not going to stop, and neither are the people she owes. Unless. Unless what? Finn asked, his voice small. I looked at my family, my real family, the ones who'd chosen to stay, to protect, to love without conditions. Then I looked at my camera, still half full of evidence that could send Mom to prison. Unless I give her exactly what she wants, I said quietly. A clean slate. A fresh start. One last chance to run. You can't, Dad protested. After everything she did. I'm not doing it for her. I met his eyes. I'm doing it for us. For our chance to finally be free. My phone buzzed again. Another threat, another demand. But for the first time in months, I felt something other than fear. Sometimes I realized the best revenge isn't punishment. It's peace. I just hoped I was making the right choice. The photography contest exhibition was supposed to be my moment of triumph. Instead, I found myself staring at an empty space where my winning photo series should have been, a note pinned in its place. Backloading doc. Come alone. I knew who'd taken them before I pushed open the heavy metal door. Mom stood in the shadows. My photograph spread across a wooden pallet like evidence at a crime scene. Beautiful work, she said, touching one of the images. Finn sleeping on the train, exhaustion etched on his face. You always did have an eye for tragedy. What do you want? She stepped into the light. 6 months had aged her years. Her designer clothes replaced by shabby knockoffs, her confident smile now brittle and desperate. Can't a mother attend her daughter's first gallery showing? Those photos won the grand prize, I said, keeping my distance. The scholarship money is exactly what I need. She pulled out her phone, showing me a text message. Mr. Chen's associates are getting impatient. They're talking about involving Finn now. My hands clenched. Leave him out of this. I'm trying to. But I need $30,000 to make this go away. The prize money would cover it. The money's for college, I said. For a future you tried to steal from us. I was trying to give you a better future. She grabbed one of the photos, the one of her ransacked room the night she left. You think documenting our failures makes you noble? These pictures, this art of yours. It's just revenge wrapped in pretty paper. You're right. I moved closer, watching her expression shift. It started as revenge. I wanted evidence, proof of everything you'd done to us. But then I realized something. What's that? These photos aren't about you anymore. I picked up another image, Finn's first art show at his new school. Dad and Elise cheering in the background. They're about us. The family we built from the wreckage you left behind. How dare you? She reached for the photos, but I was faster. The police are already here, I said quietly. They're very interested in Mr. Chen's investment scheme. And these photos? They're copies. The originals are safe with the DA's office. The color drained from her face. You wouldn't. Actually, I would. I pulled out my phone, showing her the text I'd sent earlier. But I'm giving you a choice. The police are watching every exit except the back alley. You have 5 minutes to disappear, for good this time. You're blackmailing me? She laughed, but I heard the fear beneath it. Your own mother? I'm freeing us both. I gathered the photos, leaving just one behind, the last picture I'd taken of her. Sleeping on the couch before everything fell apart. Take it. Remember what you lost. Then let us go. She stared at the photo, tears finally breaking through her carefully maintained facade. Harper, time's running out, I said, heading back toward the door. Make your choice. I didn't look back as I walked away, counting steps instead of seconds. When I reached the gallery, Finn was waiting with Dad and Elise, worry etched on their faces. Everything okay? Dad asked. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of movement in the alley, a familiar figure hurrying away into the darkness. My mother's final exit, stage left. Yeah, I said, turning to the empty wall where my photos should have been. Everything's fine. Finn squeezed my hand. What about your scholarship? I smiled, thinking of the real exhibition prints, safely stored in the gallery office. Some things are worth more than money. Like what? He asked. I looked at our little family, Dad's proud smile, Elise's gentle understanding, Finn's unwavering trust. Then I pulled out my camera, the same one that had documented our downfall and resurrection. Like this, I said, raising the viewfinder to my eye. Smile, everyone. The flash lit up the gallery like lightning, capturing not what we'd lost, but what we'd found instead. A family built on choice rather than obligation, strength rather than fear, and love that didn't come with conditions or price tags attached. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemy. It's about building something they can never touch. 4 years after the gallery showdown, I stood in my cap and gown, clutching my photography degree while Dad snapped pictures with my old Polaroid camera. The irony wasn't lost on me. You're hugging the camera, Finn complained, now taller than me and sporting blue hair that matched his latest art series. I want to document this properly. Speaking of documenting, Elise said, pulling an envelope from her bag. This came to the house yesterday. I recognized the handwriting immediately. Mom's. The postmark was from somewhere in Costa Rica. There's no return address, Elise added softly. Like always. Over the years, mysterious packages had appeared, birthday cards, newspaper clippings about my photography exhibitions. Even a wrinkled $5 bill when Finn won his first art competition. Mom never signed them, but we knew. Want me to throw it away? Dad asked, protective as ever. I shook my head, tucking the envelope into my graduation gown. Later, we celebrated at our favorite diner, the same one where I'd worked during my first year of college, before my photography career took off. My latest series, Fragments of Home, had just been picked up by a major gallery in New York. Remember when you used to hide your camera under the counter? Our regular waitress asked, bringing extra fries without being asked. Now look at you, Miss Famous Photographer. Finn rolled his eyes. Don't inflate her ego. She already thinks documenting my embarrassing teenage years makes her an artist. Speaking of documentation, I said, pulling out Mom's envelope. Anyone mind if I? They fell quiet as I opened it. Inside was a single photograph, one I'd taken years ago at that first disastrous family dinner, before everything fell apart. On the back, Mom had written, "You were right. Some things are worth more than money. I'm sorry I learned too late. You okay?" Dad asked. I looked around the table, at Finn's concerned face, Dad's steady presence, Elise's quiet support. Then I pulled out my camera. Actually, yeah. I stood up, backing away to frame the shot. Everyone squeeze in. The photo captured them mid-laugh, a moment of pure joy untainted by the past. Later, in my dark room, I developed 2 copies. One for my wall and one to send to a post office box in Costa Rica, not as forgiveness exactly, but as proof that broken things can become beautiful in their own way. That night, sorting through old photos for my upcoming exhibition, I found the final shot from that gallery confrontation 4 years ago. Mom's silhouette disappearing into the alley, running from consequences one last time. I'd titled it Escape Velocity, the speed needed to break free from gravity's pull. My phone buzzed, a message from my agent about the New York show. They wanted to know my theme. I looked at the wall of my studio, where hundreds of moments hung in careful chronology. The dinner that started it all. The train ride to safety. Finn's first art show. Dad and Elise's wedding. Each image a step away from what was broken toward something stronger. I typed my response, reconstruction, a study in second chances. Then I picked up Mom's latest letter, added it to my collection, and turned off the lights. Tomorrow, I'd start packing for New York. Finn had already claimed the spare room in my new apartment, talking about art schools and fresh starts. Some people might call it running away, just like Mom did, but I knew the difference. She ran to escape her problems. We were running towards something better, toward the future we'd built from the pieces she left behind. The revenge I'd once craved had transformed into something else. The power to choose our own story, to capture beauty in the aftermath of chaos, to find family in the people who stay. As I locked up my studio, I passed the first photo I'd ever taken, that shot of the empty savings box that started it all. Next to it hung my latest work, Our Laughing Family at the Diner, the empty chair at the edge of the frame, both an absence and a possibility. Some stories don't end with justice or revenge. They end with reconstruction, with the quiet victory of building something new from the ruins of what was lost. And sometimes that's enough.